Hello and welcome to this edition of Alaska Weather and Water Facts. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan. The end of March is Tsunami Preparedness Week in Alaska, a time to learn how tsunamis form, what they look like, and most importantly, how to stay safe. I sat down with Dave Snider, the warning coordinator at the National Tsunami Warning Center in Palmer, Alaska, to talk about tsunami basics, natural warning signs, and what everyone who lives, works, or vacations along the coast should know. Here's part of our conversation.
Tsunami is an unusual amount of ocean water that's been disrupted by any number of sources that moves toward a coastline. That unusual surge of water can be impactful to the people that use the coastline for work, like a harbor, a marina, marine operations, but also people that live there. And you get an unusual surge of water that comes in. It can be devastating to the coastline in ways that people have probably never seen before. There's several things that are usually tsunami starters, but the main thing is an earthquake. Tsunami is typically thought of as a seismic-driven sea wave, so an unusual amount of water is disturbed by a great amount of uplift or force from an earthquake. That whole column of water begins to move out and away like a ripple in your bathtub. As that approaches the coastline, that amount of water can build up in height and then inundate the coastline, creating devastating impacts. Lituya Bay landslide is one of the more monumental events for tsunami history. It is the largest known landslide tsunami on record, creating a wall of water about 1,600 feet or so tall. And it is, to date, the largest amount of water it's been disturbed in that way. It was an earthquake-driven and a landslide-driven event. Some more unusual sources for a tsunami could be a meteor striking the ocean, creating a big ripple in that way. A volcanic eruption or a landslide from a volcano that's falling apart could create a big disturbance in the ocean water. Other things that might be a little bit more unusual, a nuclear blast. Anything that disturbs that large amount of water all at once is capable of producing a pretty impactful wave. With a great quake, especially, let's say a classic tsunami, something that starts with a really large seismic disruption like Tohoku in 2011. We know that the first tsunami arrival may not be the largest wave that arrives in that whole sequence, and it is a series of waves, not just one wave, not just one curling surf wave. People generally conceptualize the idea of a tsunami as this cute breaking wave. We see the Great Wave of Kanagawa. We draw the little curls there in our signage there, but we have a really hard time understanding what a tsunami looks like. It's not a surf wave. It's not something you're going to run to the beach and go bodyboarding with. It is the movement of the entire column of water in a surge, much like a hurricane surge, moving across an entire coastline for miles and miles and miles, maybe the whole continent at the same time. And that has a tremendous amount of power. Hundreds of pounds of force are applied with just 1 cubic foot of water. Imagine miles of the entire ocean moving ashore. That's why we see the damage like we saw in Tohoku and in Tonga, for that matter, just from the volcano. But the other part of that is that, it is a series of waves. Multiple waves can come over hours, if not days. Sometimes they can even circle the planet and impact places that are so far removed you're not even aware the event has begun. And that is why the Tsunami Warning Center exists. So as part of the National Tsunami Warning Center's effort to improve people's readiness and preparedness for tsunamis, we're always telling communities to pay attention to the natural warning signs. If you hear a loud sound from the ocean, if you see the water doing something unusual, if you feel long and strong shaking for 20 seconds or more, those are signs that a tsunami could be coming. And don't wait for an alert from the National Tsunami Warning Center. Act on your own gut instincts and know that it's time to move to higher ground or move inland 100 feet up or 1 mile in. Pay attention to what you know in your own backyard. People that live in Alaska understand what their environment is like better than anybody ever will. They know what the ocean does, how it behaves, what it sounds like. And if they see something strange or unusual with the water level, they should pay attention to that and head to higher ground. And the same thing with the noise. If they hear something that doesn't look right, they're not going to run out and go tide pooling as you or I might. They're going to move to higher ground, right? All those things are natural warning signs that no science will ever probably replace. But for other people that are farther away from an earthquake source, maybe California, maybe even Hawaii, pay attention to the alerts that you receive. Have multiple ways to get an alert, whether that's your cell phone, your NOAA weather radio, your radio and TV. Use Nixle, use your community's warning alert program that your emergency managers have designed for you. Make sure you have a lot of different ways to get that information, because when it comes, you'll need to react quickly and know what to do. Look for the signs. In most communities that have a tsunami risk, you're going to have an evacuation sign, and follow that. When you go to a vacation spot, look for that when you arrive and know how you're going to get out of a community. If it's going to take you some time to do so, maybe drive it the first night so you have an idea of where you're going to go. There's two parts of a tsunami event. There's the alerting part and getting people out of the way and to safety in front of the tsunami waves, and then there's the recovery and the response after. So we're working with communities all the time to stay safe and understand how to get alerts. But part of our new mission and our new efforts is to work with our partners that have the response and recovery mission, like the U.S. Coast Guard. We know that there's a lot of communities that have hazardous materials along their coastal community areas. A lot of that certainly here in Alaska. And it's really important to understand what after the tsunami will look like. It'll be very difficult, if not impossible, to navigate in some of these waters. There'll be hazardous materials in the waters as well. There'll be a lot of stranded vessels, and ports may be unusable. Response and recovery following an impactful tsunami could take months to years in some cases. So helping our partners understand what an event like that looks like is all part of our preparation. One of the challenges after an earthquake and a tsunami is helping people understand that an event did occur. It takes a long time to actually get final measurements on a tsunami. That is the additional water level or the unusual water level on top of a tidal cycle. And verifying that and getting those more specific numbers that speak to the scientific abilities that we need in order to improve our system take a long time to digest and get through. So it's not as easy as saying, yes, a tornado occurred, or it's not as easy to say strong straight line winds came through and damaged my roof when you can see that you've got missing shingles, right? It takes a while to process that. And so when that time lag occurs, it is hard for the public to remember that a tsunami event occurred and that there was actually a tsunami measured. So we need to close that gap a little bit and get more of that information out faster so that people can remember that tsunamis do happen and that this was an impactful event, even if your particular coastline didn't receive damage. You know, in many ways, people's understanding of tsunami is a lot like their understanding of tornadoes. If they've never had one, they think they're probably never going to have one, and that's just not the case. Tsunami return frequency is pretty long, right? We know that tsunamis aren't an everyday occurrence. And much like we have myths about tornadoes not crossing rivers or going over lakes or around this building or that, tsunamis just take the right set of circumstances to form and impact your coastline. Every tsunami is different. Every coastline is different. They start differently. They have different seismic sources and different structures. And it just takes one that fits all the right combinations to impact your coastline. So just because it's never happened before doesn't mean it won't happen next time.
Thanks for watching this edition of Alaska Weather and Water Facts. Be sure to catch our next episode as we continue our conversation about tsunami preparedness in Alaska. Be aware and stay safe.